It's very far above my expectation.
Show the customers what we can do with our product.
At Cigi, we've got a commercial pilot bakery as well as the test bakery. Basically, the role of both areas is to demonstrate the functionality, baking functionality of classes of Canadian wheat and specialty crops in a blend or on their own in various markets around the world. We produce many different types of baked end products in our bakery at Cigi. When we're evaluating flour functionality, we use a standardized bread product. Typically it's pan bread, open top pan bread, because every market on the more even industrialized sector have a sector of pan bread or sandwich bread. So it's a good end product looking at the actual intrinsic strength of the flour. To produce any type of leavened bread, there's really 4 fundamental ingredients: flour, water, salt, and yeast. Can make bread without salt, of course, and yeast, but then it's not going to be a leavened bread. But your standard pan, sandwich, open-top bread requires those 4 ingredients. You know, your everyday consumer probably thinks, oh, white flour is bad for you. Refined flour is fortified. It's enriched with essential vitamins and minerals. I don't think everyday consumers realize that. You look at bread being a staple in many countries, they are getting the vitamins, iron, folic acid, all these things built in. If we were to think of whole wheat bread, yes, now we've got the bran component in the flour. Is it healthier? Yes, it's more nutritious. It's bringing fiber now to you. That's the fundamental difference here. And we all know fiber is good for you, all types of fiber. So now you're just getting something even better. And taste is very subjective. Like there are markets that just will not accept or are not receptive to that bitter flavor of the bran or, you know, so it stems traditionally how these preferences have evolved. Once we start adding other additional ingredients, all ingredients serve a purpose, of course, but they are to enhance softness or flavor. One ingredient that we get a lot of questions about is the improver. The improver we're using, and which is common in North America and many countries around the world, is ascorbic acid. This really helps gas retention in the whole bread baking process. So really it's vitamin C, but it converts to dehydroascorbic acid in the bread making process, which has a strengthening effect on the gluten properties. So when we have a very strong gluten network and we've conditioned that properly, mixed properly, done all the right things at the bakery, you can physically see that in a high volume loaf of pan bread. We have a portion on the side of the loaf that's called a break and shred, and it's actually the gluten strands all lined up. You can physically see that. Stronger gluten flours will give you more strength in flour, give bakers the capability to produce a high volume loaf of pan bread. You won't be able to get that type of volume without a good gluten structure and network. We can start right now and we can have bread in 2.5 hours from start to finish. But there are many markets that use a different baking process. They may opt for a longer fermentation process and the same externally looking loaf of bread, but that same loaf could have taken 8 hours to produce. So it's a choice a production facility adopts, and there are a number of good reasons for that. In North America, we have adopted, the baking industry at large, and many other countries as well, the fast, no time, if you will, baking process. It all depends. Quality criteria, consumer demands, what's accepted in one market versus what's accepted in another. There are so many different types of bread, so many different ways of making it around the world. Each country has their traditional bread. In Brazil, it's pão francês. You go to Japan, it's shokupan, their traditional bread. So everybody, every country, every market has a traditional baked and bread product. In baking, there's so many different trends, and they come and go. Some are challenging, more challenging than others for the baking industry when it comes to reformulation and things like that, particularly with gluten-free. To produce a high-quality end product without wheat, you don't have that structure like you would with wheat, so it's very different. Having said that, these trends do also present opportunities. And at Cigi, we have a whole pulse division. Pulses are a very healthy alternative to some of the more traditional flours and or starches that are being used for gluten-free products. our goal would be, of course, to produce or as best as we can, a healthy gluten-free end product when we're pursuing that baked end application. And again, it's personal preference and taste preferences, but all bread, as a baker I will tell you, is good for you.